there's two blocks. One is looking at essentially no additional revenue if we're just looking at needing to draw on fund balance and budget and service cuts. How do we move ahead? And it's not a pretty picture. In 2009, we'd look at needing to make potentially about $800,000 of cuts in what would be normally a status quo budget in order to leave about a $900,000 ending excess fund balance to then carry forward into succeeding years. But that wouldn't be the end of the cuts. We're looking at budget and service cuts in each successive years all the way through 2012 to basically shrink the size of government and that expenditure base that's escalating at 4% a year. And so we're shrinking it down, waiting for the revenue to come back and hoping that eventually we'll be getting a point where we've got 4% growth in revenue starting in 2013. And that by then our expenditures need to be matching those and also growing at about 4% a year. And at that point you have a balanced and sustainable income and output. And what you start seeing actually is if the economy picks up a little bit more from that, you can actually start seeing some replenishing that excess fund balance for the next downturn. Okay. So one of the things that we also looked at is what would happen if the board were to use what's called bank capacity. And what that is starting in 1999, this board has not always taken the full amount of property tax, general fund property tax levy that it was legally entitled or authorized to take. And over the last 10 years roughly, that has saved taxpayers in this county between the general fund, road fund, and conservation futures fund tax levies. Not taking that full amount has saved taxpayers over $6 million over the last 10 years. But under state law, the county has retained the ability to go back up to those tax levy rates that it was legally entitled to. What that would mean for the general fund tax levy is there's about $485,000 of untapped taxing authority for the general fund that is in place today. What that translates for an average household in Jefferson County with a property evaluated about $275,000. That would mean an increase in the county portion of their property tax, which is a minority portion of the overall property tax that we all pay. It would be about $25 a year. And if, starting in 2009, the county were to utilize this bank capacity, it would still not get the county off the hook in terms of needing to make significant service and program cuts and budget cuts. We're still looking at 2009 at about $450,000 worth of cuts that would need to be made, and continuing in successive years. So what that really means is that when you add up all those cuts, so $450,000 in 2009, cutting deeper in 2010, another $450,000 of cuts 2011, another 400,000. 2012, 350,000 cuts. Before 2013, a final $50,000 cut. And at that point, you've reached that point again where revenues and expenditures roughly equal each other, and if the rate of growth on both track at about 4% at that point, they remain in balance. And so that totals, that means if you, in 2014, if you were to look at current goods and current county services and programs, how much they would cost if you just projected them forward to 2014, and if you were to make all the cuts in that year, all these cumulative cuts, what you're talking about is you would have to reduce those programs and services by the equivalent of $1.7 million in that 1 year. Now, we haven't done that because we've taken those successively, and those build on each other each year, each successive year. Without bank capacity, we'd be looking at needing to make almost $2.2 million worth of program and service cuts over that same period. So these are difficult issues for the county to face. The work that I'm doing now with our independent electeds and our department directors now is to identify strategies for achieving those budget reductions. So I'll be building some options or some recommendations to bring back to the board at a successive date, at a later date. But I wanted to give you a heads up now about and the public as well, about what we're facing, and that the county is looking, we need to act responsibly now to make sure that we don't have deeper cuts later on. So our actions today, I think, help save services and jobs for the valuable county public servants in the future. These are painful issues to have to look at. All of the services that the county is providing are important to the community. Our citizens rely on county services to be able to live their lives and to be able to conduct their businesses. We have a fantastic set of public servants as county employees that do a tremendous job. As I've had the opportunity in this past month to go around and meet people, I've just been so impressed by the dedication and really public service spirit of our employees and the value of what they are providing on a daily basis. So we're trying to do whatever we can to minimize impacts on our employees and on the services that they provide the public and that the public relies on, but there are some hard choices ahead.